Welcome to the final days of W17. If you take a look back at the quarter, I hope you realize just how much you've really learned in just a few short weeks. You have now become experts in the history and evolution of after-school programs in this country, especially the publicly funded ones through 21st Century Community Learning Centers at the federal level and the after-school safety and education programs here in California. You have learned about the context in which these after-school programs operate and the potential of these after-school programs to really make a difference for the kids who need it the most by accelerating their learning, by giving them additional new opportunities or opportunities to understand content learned during the school day. And kind of this new, discovery type of informal learning environment in the after-school hours. You've also learned about some of the social factors and other factors that impact participation in the after-school programs and why that's important to pay attention to when you're designing a program. You've also learned about some of the research-based principles in designing an entire after-school program, including starting with goals, hiring appropriate staff with certain qualifications and leadership skills, and what that looks like after school. And that's very different than the school day in terms of the types of competencies and skills that we're looking for. We're also looking to develop program activities that are research-based and that can engage kids for a prolonged period of time in active, collaborative, meaningful experiences that expand their horizons and build mastery. You had a chance to measure those types of research-based practices and principles by using the LIAS tool. And I hope you enjoyed that experience. I think that's a real important one. It's a simple tool, but it's really powerful in terms of a structure to use, for after-school staff and making sure that their students are engaged in activities. So I hope you enjoyed that activity. And you finally here are wrapping up the quarter by learning some of the key youth development principles that need to be kept in mind when developing a program, such as safe features, expectancy value theory, just to name a few. Another real quick one that's one of my favorites is the power of building initiative through structured voluntary activities that Larson spoke about in his article. Those are really important for all after-school professionals to know. And you are all actually some of the few after-school leaders now, actually. Whether or not you go into the field, you're some of the few that really know about some of these research-based principles. And that's why it's important that we try to implement those in our practice. Whether you're become a school day educator, a nonprofit manager, or any kind of community-based advocate for children, these are important principles that you can keep in mind. And then finally, in terms of program design, you learned about the importance of evaluating programs. And like I mentioned in one of my announcements, that's where I've spent most of my career, is in evaluating after-school programs. And being able to do that effectively really goes back to the design principles. You have to start with a goal. What are you trying to measure? What will success look like when you get there? How do you want to measure that? Is it through surveys? What kinds of questions can you ask that are valid and reliable measures of that particular objective that you might have? Do you want to do focus groups and interview people to get more feedback? You're going to want to do observations, and what tools would be most appropriate to do those evaluations, those observations. You learn about several different tools, research-based tools, when you studied the crosswalk, when we looked at the 12 quality standards that have been implemented in California, and the tools that align with those standards. That's a really great starting point if you ever do get involved with evaluation. Evaluation is really fun to me. It's just a way to help keep people really intentional about the work that they're doing for kids. And it's also fun because it allows you to measure progress along the way. When I worked at Think Together as the executive director for research and evaluation, we spent a lot of time developing surveys that we could send out to, it was 60, 70,000 kids at one point, and staff and principals, really looking at ways that we can better engage students, where we were successful, some areas that we needed to work on. But the first year that I actually conducted those surveys, I was so excited to get the information out. I had an amazing intern that was working for me, and we analyzed that data any way you could possibly look at it, and gave it to our general managers, who oversaw about 60 schools at that point, and basically said, here's the data. It's amazing. And I soon realized nobody looked at it, and it was just felt like a waste of time, and it was so disappointing, because I felt like, here's the power to understanding the work that we're doing and the quality of the work that we're doing. But it was a learning point. So the next year, I had actually somebody else working for me at that point, and I thought, you know what, we need to make this fun, first of all, and we need to help people understand data and like data, because it was pretty clear to me after that first year that, hey, not everyone likes data. So we developed some regional evaluation teams, in which we found some advocates for evaluation, people who liked data and wanted to learn about how to look at surveys. They can be very overwhelming. There's a lot of information on there. So we helped them identify trends. We helped them establish some program goals related to those trends. And then we helped them kind of deliver that message and those skills back to their site coordinators and other regional staff. So by localizing that training, we were able to actually get people excited about data. And I knew we had been successful when the next year at one of our regional trainings, somebody was asking me, hey, when are we going to get that data? So that was actually a turning point, I think, in the work that we were doing, where people were finally starting to be data-driven, which is a term that you'll hear frequently within any kind of a program, hopefully mostly after-school programs. Being data-driven means that you're focused on a goal and you're measuring progress toward that goal. And that you use that data to continuously improve your program. And that's what it's all about. It's a learning process for everybody. And you now are all armed with a lot of information, a lot of research-based practices and theory that can help you in designing or implementing and hopefully evaluating some after-school program that you might be involved with. We mostly did breadth in this class more than depth. I hope you enjoyed it enough that you will want to continue into some other CASE courses. We have several specific to after school, such as reading enrichment after school, science out of school, which is great. We have coaching and fitness after school. We also have some other courses like tutoring, educational technology. These can all be applied to the after-school environment. And finally, to wrap up your CASE certificate, if you're interested in that, every spring we offer Ed 191. And that's a course we only meet once a week, because you actually end up doing 50 hours of field work. And it's a great opportunity for us to do a case study. There's actually a book called The Fifth Dimension that we read. It's a case study about the development, implementation, and evaluation of an after-school program that started right here in San Diego in California. And sort of their challenges, successes and challenges related to replicating and scale this one kind of ideal program across multiple contexts. And we do a parallel assignment where you work in a team to develop an impact proposal at your fieldwork sites. So you practice developing. You don't actually implement the proposal more than maybe just a mini implementation, but then you get some feedback from your site coordinators, staff, students, and possibly a mini presentation of your proposal. And you use that feedback to do a critical analysis of some of the factors that do influence implementation, replication, and scale of after-school programs. So I hope you choose to join us next quarter. I'm offering that, as well as next spring. We'll be offering it again. But in the meantime, if you ever want to chat about after school or anything related to being an advocate for kids, come see me. I'm in 2012. Make an appointment. We can meet online. I've really enjoyed meeting a few of you this quarter through the coffee chats, online or in person. That's my favorite part of the class, so I really have missed being able to interact with everybody. But I hope you've enjoyed the class, and I look forward to your final products in your e-portfolios. Thank you so much, and continue please being an advocate for kids in whatever capacity that is for you, whether it's after school, during the school day, nonprofit, community, health work. There's so much to be done for these kids, and they really are counting on us to get it right. Have a great day. Bye.